This episode of John Knox Hate Stuff is brought to you by Sinclair Oil, greasing the wheels of commerce for over 100 years. Sinclair Oil. Hi, John.
Hey, Alex.
Do you know what I hate?
What do you hate?
Hate oil companies.
Oil companies?
Yeah. For daring to provide the fuel for the trucks that deliver food to our family. For being so dastardly to employ tens of thousands of hard-working Americans. For being such scumbags as allowing me at 15 years old to get my first job pumping gas. Oh, those bastard oil companies providing the petroleum which makes the tires, whose hum on the highway is the very heartbeat of America. Oh, those greedy oil companies. How dare they create the lifeblood of this great American experiment? Yeah, I guess I hate oil companies. And America.
Sounds like you should watch How to Blow Up a Pipeline.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, John, that's the first thing I've ever put effort into on the show. I hope you liked it.
That was wonderful.
Yeah. And by put effort in, I mean, I wrote it in about 30 seconds, about 20 minutes ago.
That's the most effort anyone has put into this show.
Yes. I literally picked Sinclair Oil because I know that one from that dinosaur show from the 90s.
Uh-huh. I mean, it was also a gas. I mean, I think it's still.
No, I know, but the others. I didn't want to name one that I think is still real. If it is, then I didn't. Yeah.
What, are they going to come kill you?
No, I have a weird moral thing, but somehow I feel less bad doing that gag and not saying ExxonMobil.
Okay.
I don't know. It separates me one step away from it being in any way real.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. You need that irony cushion.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, how to blow up an oil line?
Close.
What's it called?
How to blow up a pipeline.
Close enough. To be fair, I did just say the word oil about 15 times in 6 seconds. Here's a fun thing I'm going to tell you about this movie, as per my usual thing of starting this show. Even though there are titles during the course of the film that say the character's name, oh my God, did none of these character names stick with me. I know who Sochi is.
Yep.
I'm reasonably sure Theo is the hunter from Loki with the dreads.
I've not seen Loki, but yes, it has dreadlocks.
There's some guy named Sean that I don't know which is which. Everybody else just faces.
My only confusion is that I thought Rowan was the guy for a while in the
that's the punk couple.
Yeah, the punk couple. I thought that was, but that's not. That's Logan. But
yes,
Rowan.
You should know one is a Wolverine. Is probably how you could differentiate them.
That's Rowan the Wolverine.
The other is some Welsh lady.
What?
I think Rowan is a Welsh name, isn't it?
How would I know that?
How would I know that?
I don't know.
Is the real question.
But it seems like something you would know.
Yeah. It was interesting reading about this. So I was unfamiliar with this movie until you brought it up, that this is based on a book. And then every single article I've read about it is it's not really based on a book. It's basically based on the title of the book.
Yeah. I mean, it's based on the conceit of the book.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Violent means has achieved goals in the past alongside of other things. Yeah. Not just that or sabotage, whatever. I want to be careful how I use the word violence here. This is a touchy subject.
Yeah. And I want to make my opinions very clear. Hamas is no. I think that one of the main problems with America, and maybe the world, but I can only speak on America, is that since the kind of onset of the labor movement and when we developed unions, we have forgotten that unions were the civil discourse to when we used to blow up rich people's houses. Mm-hmm. And then we went, hey, you know what? We'll negotiate. We'll do a union. And I'm not saying the answer in this movie is the answer, but what I'm saying is I think we're at a point that if this movie came out 20 years ago, I don't know that I'd be as yeah, that's a good idea. I think let's just fucking start blowing shit up. But right now I'm just yeah, maybe we should start blowing shit up. Let's remind these fuckers who's in charge.
At the end of it all, I feel like it does go, this is a viable thing to do. It's not shy about that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think it's necessarily propaganda in that way. It's more just I think you see how these people were driven to this. Now, granted, it's not there's someone going but the oil companies, they provide the lifeblood of America or some nonsense.
Yeah, what kind of asshole would say that?
But I do think these are some difficult characters, but you ultimately end up rooting for them, and you see sort of why they've been driven to this point or how they've reached this ideal.
Yeah, I certainly don't think. I mean, keep in mind that, I guess audience at home, as a warning, I think we're two rather lefty people talking to each other, and I'm left of left. Like the Democrats are Republicans in my head, so like I just put that out there. But I don't think this movie was proselytizing at all. Like I think like the smartest character in the movie, at least as I understood it, was the lady that worked at the soup kitchen.
Yep.
The one that didn't really want to be part of it. That's dating
Alicia.
Yeah. And she didn't want to be part of it. She seemed the most level-headed, kind of smart one in the film. So like the movie's not, oh my God, this is the way to do it, which I think if you're someone with a more right-leaning bent, you're going to read the movie that way. And it's not that way. Also, if you're someone with a right-leaning bent, why are you listening to this show? Like, what is fucking wrong with you fucking idiot?
Well, I don't know. Confirms that like these lefties are dumb as hell.
I mean, that's a really good point. Given how fucking dumb I am, this is actually probably a great show for like anybody that's like r/conservative would love this. Like, listen to this fucking mushmouth idiot that they'd be too busy jerking off to the opening I put.
That's probably this is true.
Jerking off with petroleum.
Like I said, I do think the movie does side with these people for sure, but I do think it's I've read some reviews about it that are saying like, well, Andreas Malm, the person who wrote the book, that was like, well, he might not fully agree with this movie because he's like, sabotage can be done in a gentle way. It's not always just this and that. But I do like how they go out of their way in this thing. It's basically like a heist movie, which I think is just a brilliant way to do it.
And you're a big heist fan. I was thinking about that while I was watching this, that this movie's very, I don't want to say catered to you, but this is very in your alley.
Like, do you mean the movie Heist or heist movies?
Heist movies.
Yes. I mean, both are true, but it's not like the movie Heist. But anyway.
It's more like Tower Heist, your favorite movie.
It's much more like Tower Heist, but flatter. Actually, it really owes a lot to, it seems more like, I kept thinking of Sorcerer, if you've ever seen that, basically William Friedkin's version of Wages of Fear.
Oh yeah,
because like
I haven't thought about that movie in a long ass time.
There's basically the same thing with Wages of Fear, where it's like they're transporting explosives, so oh my God, anything could happen anytime. But I think the synthy soundtrack made me think more of Sorcerer, which I really like the soundtrack to this.
Yeah, I had the thought that like I like that noise that they do in these movies, that it sounds like the synth orchestra is warming up. That kind of like droney, like electronic noise. And like I'm just imagining like some kind of like robot orchestra starting. What this kept reminding me of, I'm not going to give a review of the movie right now. We try to do that at the end, but I will say that it took until pretty deep into the movie for this movie to really kind of start resonating with me. Mm-hmm. And one of it is that it's very 1994 in its orchestration. It's a somewhat normal plot. Like, it's not that interesting of a plot. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not. They did it out of order and they did a bunch of flashbacks. Now, I'm not saying that's like a cheap move, but it just felt very like all those movies that like for the next 4 years after Pulp Fiction, where everybody did this, it just reminded me of that.
What actually it made me think of is and I hate to say this, but just that the flashback instruction was lost. Just that like, oh, we're going to find out, why this is happening now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Which is an unfair comparison for this movie.
Well, no, it's not, because
that, but it is structured very similar like that.
When they blow up the first pipeline, that causes a schism, and they went back in time, and that's remember where Sochi meets her dad when he was still working at the Dharma Initiative?
Yes, well, he was the constant.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. And then Desmond, who we meet in the third act, is living underneath the pipeline,
right?
And he has to type in a number, which is weirdly it's 8675309, because this is the real world. Yeah.
Well, because when that would explain why. Because when they went in to type it, they tried 710, which is oil upside down.
Oh God, my mind's fucking blown.
Yeah.
You know what I like about our show is how lost someone. Yes, but if you've not seen Lost, which has been off the air for, over a decade. I don't know how long, but quite some time now. You have to remember intricate details about the movie Lost, and then this obscure-ass movie that we're watching, in order to understand a joke that is, at best, Family Guy level. Hey, here's a reference.
This show's not for you, audience. Let's be clear about that.
Yes. When we say John and Alex hate stuff, the stuff is you. This is just John and Alex are abusing each other. John and Alex don't know how to be adult friends without a podcast.
We need mediated meetings.
Well, that's, I mean, literally, like, you and Eric are the people I talk to the most often, and I have podcasts with both of you. It's like,
pretty much.
Maybe this is something I should, like, look into on, like, a deep therapeutic level of, like, learning how to finally socialize. But yeah, whatever. I'm like, I'm nearly dead anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. Let's just ride this out.
How do we start talking about this movie? Because everything's out of order, and I didn't take very good notes. So what I'm going to say is, hey, John, what are you going to talk about? I'm going to throw it to you.
So this is a movie, as we sort of mentioned, based on notions in the book How to Blow Up a Pipeline. In fact, at one point, a character is reading that book, which I thought was very funny.
I thought that happened, and I wasn't sure. That scene in the bookstore.
It's very subtle, but I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because another character comes up to him and goes like, they don't tell you how to do it in the book.
Oh, by the way, wait. Sorry. Before we start talking about that, the punk in this movie, as Morrigan, what was his name?
Logan.
Is he a guy that we know?
Unless you've watched White Lotus. I know he's in that. People like him in that. Or Euphoria.
His face is very like, I feel like we're going to be dealing with this guy, and he's fine. But I mean, like, you know, when you see somebody on the screen for the first time, you're like, oh God, it's going to be 20 years of this fucking face, you know, and I'm old, so I'm mad at young, handsome people. But like, yeah, that guy strikes me as, like the first time I saw Timothée Chalamet, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be like 80 by the next time there's a year that a movie does, So good for Logan. Anyway, sorry, say stuff.
It's about a group of young people that get together to blow up the titular pipeline, and so it's about them attempting to do it, but also flashing back to how they met and got together, and sort of what, as we mentioned, sort of what brings them to this point,
how they get so radicalized.
Yeah.
And one of the main radicalization points is Theo, aka Hunter C20 from Disney Plus Loki. She got cancer from growing up near, a chemical plant or pipelines or whatever. She had to do a GoFundMe to afford the medicine. It's the most, I don't like to stop and think about it unless I'm on the air and I can depress other people, but that's the most fucking bleak American thing in the world. It's like the thing that's free in every other civilized, like there's coal mines and horrible things in England, but like when you get mesothelioma, the government pays for that shit. Like it's, oh God, it's like literally this whole movie is based on our country is dog shit, with healthcare and petroleum usage. And petroleum usage, not even that, just the health. Anyway.
Well, it's
I'm on
largely,
a soapbox. Sorry, I'm a leftist cuck, soy, whatever.
I mean, it's routinely a theme throughout this is the breakdown of systems, is that the system's letting people down. Like, you have Theo that has cancer as a result of living in this area. I mean, that's also what killed the character Sochi's mom.
Oh, is that what happened? I think I missed that.
Yeah. Okay. And they also tell a story about going out in the rain and the rain like burning their skin when they were little. We know that Michael, his whole thing being an indigenous person, like is all pissed off at the shit that they've been dealing with. I forget, like at one point he says to his mom, I think like, well, this just makes white people feel good and, placates you. It doesn't actually do anything.
Which I didn't like that. I don't like when people are racist against me.
Sure.
Because I'm white. And I feel like, in the 20s, wait, I've already done enough of this bit today. All right.
But so you have like that issue there. You have with Dwayne, you have the oil company with the government seizing his house with eminent domain, or seizing his land and his house. Sorry.
Do you know anything about eminent domain at all?
A little, not a ton.
So I should have looked this up, but I thought eminent domain was they give you money for the land. It's not just like, fuck you, your land's ours. I thought they had to pay you like fair market value on it.
Well, I don't know. Here it gives you the power to take your property even if you don't want to sell it. I don't know.
Yeah, but I thought you had it's just because his thing is they're knee deep in debt because they sued the government to try to keep their land. Totally valid. But I'm pretty sure the government has to give you money for that. It's not just
right.
It's not like we did to the indigenous people. They pay white people when you take your land.
But it could very well be that that's not going to be enough to cover everything. Because I bet that was a very painful lawsuit, even if it was. But
it's a good point. They're selling fucking backwoods land in Texas. Yeah, that's probably $1.350.
So you have like this. The healthcare breakdown. You have, in the case of like Alicia, she's working at a soup kitchen and they're like, hey, this is all we're going to be doing this week because we ran out of stuff. So the breakdown of even like these bare attempts to try to take care of one another, that it's hard enough to even just get that going because, there's a fundamental rot that makes even the local stuff pretty hard. And so it's not just everything's the oil company. I mean, like that's the focus of everything, but it's also that just everything is turning to garbage if it's not already.
And yeah, I mean, it's just the rot of everything kind of bleeds that way. Like the fact that the oil companies can poison the environment enough that like the rain can burn your skin is demonstrative of how bad things are going. Which, by the way, if anybody out there, I know it's just shitting on right-wing people, but like if anybody out there is like doubting this, that's like a real thing. Like people that grow up around like chemical plants and oil pipelines, and maybe not oil pipelines, but like there's a bunch of parts of America where like people die because of where they're raised, and like it's bad to be in rain. That's a legitimate thing. Well, I don't know about the rain part, but definitely the lung cancer horrors that go with growing up near places. I don't know. I think I'm just getting soft in my old age. Just sometimes I feel like we gloss, not we, you and I, but like we gloss over plot points like this. Like, oh, well, that's in the movie, but it's like, no, that's like in real life. Well, like fucking like Citizens. This is happening.
I think this movie, one of the things this movie does well is it is a very, you said it's sort of like a 90s thing, and it reminded me of Source or whatever, is that it's not flashy. It's a very like well put together movie. It's like I said, it's a heist movie. It's a thriller. It keeps the pace keeps going. It's great, but it's not stylish in that kind of way. Like you think of a lot of heist movies are, something like that. So everything still feels sort of grounded in reality. And as a result, it makes you sort of reckon with this stuff. It's not this fanciful thing like, oh, well, this guy just is catching some bad breaks. It's like, no, this is going on everywhere. And even sort of the denouement of the movie is not necessarily one. It's hopeful, but it's not like, yep, that did it. I think that's good because this is a way for people to reckon with this stuff, because it's hard. It's hard to, because it's, we're recording a podcast for no one. That wastes a bunch of energy.
We're recording a podcast for occasionally an S at the end of dozen. No, we're recording a podcast for like hundreds of people. Now, just as useless as your statement, but I want to feel slightly better about my life.
Right. But I mean, like Porter said, we all have like our little treats and stuff that we like.
Yeah, like
and it's tough to give that up.
Like I like open burn pits of my old tires.
Mm-hmm. And so I think there's just different ways to, rather than just yelling at everybody, this is an interesting way to try to get that message across. And again, it is like not necessarily, these people also suck in a lot of ways. And I like that. I like that they're young people. Like there's a scene when they get together, like the first night that they're together, they're all like, well, I thought like Theo is drinking. And, another character, Sean, is like, well, I thought we were going to keep our heads straight. She's like, well, yeah. And like with next scene, they're all drinking.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. But just like being young, you're idealistic, but you're also like, whatever. I'm going to live forever.
The one that won me over was, who's the indigenous guy? Is that Michael?
That's Michael, played by Forrest Goodluck, who might be my favorite character in this. Like, I thought he's so good in this.
He's the best acting in this piece.
Yeah.
Well, Theo, I think, is pretty good too. But anyway, focusing on him, he allows, like, as a performer, allows himself to be frustrating on the screen. Like he's almost non-vocal, non-verbal at points where, like when he's talking to his mom early on, and like he's just, there's so much going on underneath, but he's old enough and educated enough to like to articulate it that it just like it comes out. And like even like when he's filming his boom talk, I think I call it, where he's doing his TikToks of, it's not like he's good at talking. Like he's, I don't know. It's just I think it's a brilliant choice of this awkward thing. And so, cause that could easily be the sexy guy that we talked about this the other day. What's that called? The Pirates Cookbook?
The Anarchist Cookbook.
The Anarchist Cookbook. I said this exact same thing last time. They could easily be like, yeah, he's so cool. He knows all the shit. But Leo, he's like sucks at talking and his hands are shaking. And it's really, really good.
Well, you also get the sense that if perhaps he was not brought in on this, that like things might go another way. You know what I mean? Like he's just a troubled loner, but at the same time, there is, like you said, he's frustrating to watch, but there is like empathy for him. And I think,
that's what I mean.
Like you said, like that performance, that performance is great. Like you could tell there's just so much going on with this kid. Yeah, he was really great. I hated, like for a long time, I hated the punk couple, because it's just like, because some of it is also like the way they sort of parcel out information in this is you're like, why are they even here? Like all they're doing is being jackasses, and they're way into each other, and that's great. But like, they just seem like they're kind of just there to drive a van, but then they actually have a role.
That was the point that won me over, like kind of the end of the film. I didn't like her. Like it leads us to believe that she is just a narc, that she's just going to turn them in for whatever reason. And then, spoiler for the end of the film. But again, if you listen to the show, we spoil the film. It turns out that she's actually like it's subterfuge. There are two people in the group agreed, like the person with cancer and her best childhood friend agreed, we're going to get caught. We want to speak out on this. I was like, oh, that's a really nice, it's the Kaiser Sose of it, I mean, not to go back to that, but like the trick of like, oh no, actually this was there was another plan all along. And yeah, that couple annoyed me, and it made me realize the competency of this film of like, they were supposed to annoy me, and we're supposed to, because we both had that same like, oh, now we're coming back around and kind of being won over by them, which is really nice. And I think the Morgan's performance, what's her name? Marwan?
Rowan?
God damn it. That time I wasn't kidding. Her performance is okay. It just, she has more to do, so there's more to fuck up. But like Logan, that's what I was saying. Like, I just recognize that we're going to see him forever. It just has like really subtle kind of, because he doesn't have as much to do as her, but like still he's carrying a lot of, anyway, there might be, it's been a while, John. Might have a slight crush on him.
And see, to me, like, he looks like a YouTube guy. So I can't, like, I'm immediately like, I don't trust this dude.
As a YouTube guy, youtube.com/@WhizBizPodcast, where you can watch me stream video games, I guess I just associate myself because I'm young and handsome and cool.
Yeah. I noticed the LCD lights in the backwards hat and the gamer chair.
Yeah. I also look like a budget. I can't think of his name. Who's the guy that just played Elvis? That's playing Fade Rotha in the next? No, he was playing
Austin Butler.
Yeah. Because this guy just in my head he's like a budget Austin Butler.
Yeah.
But no, I think this one of the things that kind of won me over this movie being more competent than I thought it was in the first kind of. I keep wanting to say acts, but this movie doesn't have a 3-act structure.
Yeah.
Or maybe it does. I just didn't recognize it that way. Is the reveal of them and what's going on with them really? It was like, oh shit, this movie's like doing more than I gave it credit for. And it's an interesting kind of thing. The only person that I think is actively bad in the film, well, maybe not bad, but Sean. I think that actor he should take more acting classes. It's like his body, like mostly it's his body performance. Anytime he moves, I'm like, I don't believe you're a person. Like literally, he's so unnatural in his movements.
Well, I just kind of took that as to like, he's not fully convinced in what he's doing, but like it is a kind of a flat performance.
No, there's one part where he's running up a hill. You can't not be convinced to run up a hill, but it's like, it looks like he looks like, remember that part in Men in Black where that alien takes over that dude as a suit?
You mean the main plot of Men in Black?
No, but I mean like the part where he doesn't know how to use the body quite yet.
Yeah.
That's this kid like somewhat moves like that of just like this run hill. Like he's also like weirdly out of breath in parts where it's like, you're a young in shape man. You should not be this winded by like a 20-degree gradient for 40 feet.
Well, that's something this also taught me, is that even if this movie was radical enough to like make me go, hell yeah, let's do it, I know enough about myself that I don't need to be anywhere near explosives. Like this whole time I'm just like, it's gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up right now. And like, just it was so nerve wracking to watch.
I don't mean to insult you here, but I really feel like you're uniquely unsuited to desert environments.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, I feel like you would not thrive wandering.
I mean, I don't know. That's a good question because like humidity crushes me. Like I'm just done, but like it's a dry heat. So
actually you bring a good point. I only know your heat, even I stopped myself. That was going fucking places where no one needs to go. There's also the other part of this. I couldn't build a bomb. I don't even I actively want to die. My life is horrible. We talk about this a lot, or I talk about it a lot, and you deal with it. But building a bomb just is so much fucking pressure. Like, gee, I couldn't. I don't like. I get nervous talking to people, let alone putting together a fucking bomb primer or whatever.
Because a lot of these characters also are disenfranchised from other stuff that's happening. Like when we meet Sochi, or like after her mom dies, she's back at college and like she's with some group that is trying some divestment thing, and she's like, this sucks. Like she's just feeling increasingly hopeless about it. She's like, this is taking forever. Like. And even the guy that's arguing with it's like, yeah, it can take a while, but it's a positive change, and we need to do this to have this university divest from the oil company. It's like, this doesn't matter. This doesn't change anything, and it's too slow. We're dying now. Like this climate change is reaching a point, and so they want that more direct action.
That's what I was saying in the beginning. It's like, I feel like this movie, like I remember when I moved out to Oregon in 2004. I was reading about the ELF movement, and I think they were Eugene, where they're blowing up like car dealerships or whatever. They're like Environmental Liberation Front, I think is ELF. And in my head, it wasn't like I was like, oh, these are bad guys, these are terrorists. But in my head, I'm like, wow, that's, maybe tone it down a little bit. Like, I wasn't there for it. In this movie, it's like the world has progressed, and by progressed, I mean gone downhill enough that it's like, yeah, I'm kind of there for it. Like, I'm too much of a pussy to build the bomb, but I'm pretty, like, if I knew these kids, not that I have money, but like I would hope I would find some way to support them. Like, just like, I like this. Vote with a bullet. Like, I'm a fan.
The views of Alex are not representative of the show.
No. I'm saying this no, live on air on the John and Alex Hate Stuff show, in which both of our views are exactly the same. I'm saying it is okay to vote with a bullet. I'm saying this country is dog shit. 2A is the only thing that matters. And,
parody in Minecraft, all that stuff.
Parody Minecraft? Yes, this is parody of Minecraft. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, people say that. People will be like online and be like, oh, I mean, I was, you should die in Minecraft. There's a way to get it.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think, okay, gotcha. Yeah, everybody, any NSA people listening, I literally don't own a gun. I don't know how to shoot one. And I assure you, my head would be the first target if I had one. You have nothing to worry about.
Just keep sending me those messages that say kill yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Some people I know are gun owners. And in my head, I feel like having that easy access to the go night switch is just too tempting of it's right over there. Like, if I'm in this room and say my gun is in my closet, if I'm having a bad night or again an argument with someone, it's right there. The night switch is right there. I don't know how you fight that.
I like how within the span of like 2 minutes you went from vote with a bullet to night switch. That childish version of that sort of softening.
Yes. But here's the thing: is when I say vote with a bullet, I mean other people. I'm broken, and I'm just this is just it's white knuckling this thing until finally the misery ends. That's what's left on in my road. By the way, ladies, I'm single. But if there was a night switch in the other room, ooh, boy,
yeah,
I'm just saying,
switch.
Like, I'm not saying I would do it on air with you. I'm just saying,
no, please don't.
Imagine the Jackson Pollock I'd make of the wall behind me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that episode wouldn't get released, first of all.
Well, we'd be live streaming.
Oh, well, okay, now I know to never live stream. Now you've given up the game there.
Little do you know, we're on Twitch right now.
Ah, shit.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's a grim episode.
Yeah. You mean our friendship? Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That has been a grim episode in your life, and I can only apologize for it.
But regardless of how you feel about this stuff, I do think
about murder myself,
about all of it, I do. This is a very well put together movie. I do think it's a very sort of taut thriller, as it sort of, as we mentioned, sort of doles out these character beats. At first, like, while it might seem like a distraction, because a lot of times it'll happen like right as a big important thing is happening. You're like, this is happening though. I gotta learn about this guy now. But I think it always is paid off. I think it works very well.
For the most part, yeah. The only one I didn't like, not even for the most part, all of that is good except for one. They are trying to hoist up the bomb onto the pipeline that they're trying to blow up.
It's an oil can. It's a giant, like a thing you would shoot in Doom. That would blow up.
Yes.
It's a giant oil barrel. I was like, can doesn't sound right, but
you can tell John and I are so blue collar. This is what we know this from. That thing from Doom, and literally, like, oh yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, my hands are baby soft. Yeah, so they're just using ratchet straps to connect it to this offending pipeline.
The strap breaks and falls, and then it cuts to a flashback.
Yeah,
and that's fucking Scooby-Doo, man. That's cheap. That is some cheap ass. All the other ones I was fine with, but I don't know if it fully went into annoyed me, but I was very unpleased by that.
Well, at least the other one, like, because the first one that happens is when Michael blows up, basically. He's fine, but like whatever he's working on. I feel like that's
valid though,
but that one's valid because it goes off.
Yeah,
and then
we saw the result. Yeah,
and then. Yeah, that one, I will agree with that one was a little, I don't remember who would flash it back. I think it flashed back to Theo, actually, was a little cheap. But otherwise, yes, I really like that. And I also just like, I don't know, that they're this disparate group of people. You see how they come together with these flashbacks. Like, they're not all friends. They've like made these acquaintances and like through these networks that you never fully understand how or why in certain cases, what got them connected to, specifically to Logan and Rowan. Although we have an idea. I mean, we don't know if, as we learned, as you already mentioned, that Rowan getting busted for a different action becomes like a snitch for the FBI or the feds. And it seems like the feds like maybe turned her on to this group because they knew that they were maybe up to something.
Oh, you're saying that. Yeah. Interesting. Because I mean, they show Logan meeting Guy in the bookstore.
Yeah.
And that introduces, like, that's how the setup in quotes
I guess
happens.
I guess that's true because you're right, because there's that whole scene. And
no, but we don't know how he knew
to.
We don't know how he knew to be staking out the bookstore.
That's true.
No, because the feds, there's no fucking way the feds, that kid would have been, like, he's a person of color. The feds think he's about to do a crime. There's no fucking way they let him just wander around for weeks at a time. That's a step too far on the suspend disbelief ladder. Here's something we didn't talk about that we didn't like kind of cover, and it's an interesting thing because we're talking about like kind of the disparate nature of the group. Is Dwayne the kind of hillbilly guy?
Yeah, Dwayne's the owner of the property.
Is how he's kind of like sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
Like, he's got, like, this kind of, I don't know, I think it's, like, it's almost a response to, like, the indigenous person. Like, there's, like, this kind of almost the same, not that, I don't mean to equate the two. I don't know. There's something there. There's, like, a dichotomy between those two things. And it was really interesting to see, like, him as a kind of sovereign citizen, this is my property, get the fuck off of it. But also, he's, like, there was not a jot or tittle of racism or like country hillbilly bullshit in him.
Right. Yeah.
That he's like the group in this are a disparate group of people of color. There's a lesbian group. Like, there's all the things that in a movie that wants to drum up easy drama could have pulled that thread.
Yeah.
And this movie didn't even hint at it. He's a really nice guy. Like, there's no like he helped the lesbian black lady that broke her leg immediately. He's like, oh, I'm super capable because I'm a sovereign citizen that I believe I know how to live off the grid. Right. So I'm just going to put a tourniquet on your leg or whatever you call those things. Like,
I recognize your humanity. Yeah. Like you said, it could be easily mined for that kind of thing. And the only thing that comes up, the only like shred of friction, the only little bit of friction that comes up in the group is when when they're all drinking, as we talked about that first night, they start talking about how what they're doing is terrorism, that they will be called terrorists. And, I don't know that I agree with that, but basically they're saying that just because they're doing violence outside of the state, like they're that major, whatever. Don't want to get into all that. But someone makes a joke about, if you're just doing something that the state doesn't like and that makes you a terrorist, then Jesus was a terrorist. And he kind of gets up and walks out.
Yeah.
But like, that's it.
Yeah, no, it was pretty chill. And also, I mean, just to be fair, I mean, Jesus literally was like, he walked into the temple of money changers, flipped their table over and started screaming about how you're fucking over like this sacred place. Yeah, I'm not saying maybe terrorist might be like a slight exaggeration, but anybody who's actually read that book, kind of like, that's pretty all right. That's a pretty apt description. Jesus was just way cool.
It also just seems like he doesn't care about climate change. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what this is about for him.
No,
necessarily. Like, he's environmentally minded because the whole thing is like we can do this without spilling oil everywhere because it's also his property. You know, he doesn't want that.
Oh, that was the other part.
Like,
sorry, I'm totally running over.
No, go ahead.
But the other point I was making when I was bringing that guy up was the other trope you could have gone into is that he's a good old boy, no education, not very bright. But like, he was figuring out like the fluid dynamics of like the slope of the pipe to figure out where, like, just, it's those little things that for me make a movie like, increase the quality of the movie. And like having him be a valid human, not even being a full stereotype. They didn't lean into any stereotype. And like, he was vaguely offended at saying shit about Jesus. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of all right with that. I mean, I mean, I'm not all right with it. Look, I don't need to shit on Jesus on yet another show, but yeah, we all get where I'm coming from.
Right. But I do think that even, I mean, like we talked about with like Logan, where it's like, oh yeah, this sort of Trustafarian or however you want to call it. But then they end up giving him like, no, he's still a human being though. So let's just all calm down about it.
Yeah.
I think, they bother to make these actual characters and not just archetypes.
I'm in real life too. I'm of two minds about the kind of Trustafarian thing. Yeah, they're rebelling against their coming from a rich background, and their life is easier, but they're still putting that effort towards something good. It is easier for you because in the end you could get your dad's lawyer here.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still doing the thing. I don't know. Like I'm still like I'm kind of I want to shit on Trustafarians. I'm going to pronounce that 8 different ways, and who cares? But
it's a man's actions what defines him.
Yeah, but I'm kind of doubting myself because it's like actions are really easy when a high-powered lawyer can show up. But either way, I mean, the dude showed up. That's pretty all right.
Because that was something, because when that reveal happened, I was convinced, like, okay, well, this guy's gonna like bail or something. But he was the only one that really, well, not the only one, but he took one for the team and suffered through it, and did more than I anticipated.
Kind of his fault though, because like if he didn't like fuck his smoke show punk girlfriend in front of the pipeline wheelie deal, that none of that would have happened.
That's true, but they might have gotten at the same time they might have gotten thwarted. Because those dudes showed up and they might have been like, well, someone turned the wheel off. I mean, I don't know what their plan was to get out and put they weren't going to be able to put the lock back on. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess that's fine.
But it seems like that came out of their dealing with the drone earlier.
I'm not knocking this movie because I think this is one of those rare situations where my brain actually worked. But I thought it was when the drone fell out of the sky, I thought it was ragingly obvious that that's going to be a trolley problem. Obviously, there's GPS on drones. Someone's going to show up and then when that happened, like, oh, wow, that thing that I saw, from 8 miles away. But that might be just like a weird, the one case in which I finally saw something before
Yeah, it's, well, for me, it was more just like, oh, crap, they got. They've been spotted by this drone. But someone, whoever, I forget who it is, but like, no, it's just using LiDAR and it's not like film. It's just getting data about the ground or whatever. So they're trying to bury a giant oil can. Did it again, giant oil barrel.
I mean, what is a barrel but a large can? Let's all just agree to that. Hey, John.
Dwayne knocks it down.
John?
Yeah.
I said, let's all agree to that.
Yeah, no, I agreed to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I signed the document. Christ. I faxed it over.
All right, I appreciate that.
But I just assumed that was going to be that they got. But then when the guy showed up, I was like, oh, is this going to be like, well, it's acceptable losses? But I'm glad they still considered that. That's like their whole thing. It's like, we don't want to hurt anybody. That's the point of this.
No, that was nice. I thought that was a good way to handle it. I just thought it was a little telegraphed of the. I think it's so one of the things I watch a lot on YouTube is like weird disc golf stuff, and a lot of it is like drone shit. And there's a lot of this is so stupid. I've seen a bunch of stuff on YouTube of people trying to find their drone via GPS. So in my head, my immediate thought was someone's going to show up and try to find this drone, and it's right next to exploding McDye area. The only other kind of plot issue I have, and I guess I'll reveal that this movie worked for me, but the Rowan talking to the feds or wherever they are. So Logan gets shot. They go to a motel. The feds show up to talk to her. To this is like the all the threads are coming together. Mm-hmm. The threads come together and like, here, have some money, and we don't press charges, and there's no paperwork. It seemed a little like. I don't know.
A little neat.
Neat, yes. But also, that scene should be the oil company, not designated law people. Like, how do you don't just go, oh, yeah, no, you're fine. Oh, you've proven it to the 2 people in the car. You've shown thoroughly that you're being helpful. Here, have some money. Now go. That just, it doesn't, I don't know. That just
I don't know how it all goes down, but I do agree that it feels a little like, well, that's done now.
Yeah.
There's never going to be any blowback about it, whatever. Which is fine. They're kind of like wrapping it up at the end. But no, I kind of have the same thought where it's like, is this part of a scam too? I don't, like, is this, she's gone back with the money to Logan and now they're going to get raided? I don't know. Real quick before I get into the full ending of it, I do like when the cover for Dwayne, because he's been fighting the government, the cover for him to not be involved at all is that he's just hanging out at a bar. He was going to go watch a game,
greatly.
but they couldn't. They couldn't game. So the feds are on them. Like stuff has been called in. The feds are on them, and like this cop shows up, and Dwayne's all freaked out at first. And the cop's like, "Oh, I'm just supposed to wait here until the feds call for us, but damn if I'm going to wait sober," and just starts drinking. Yeah. And everyone there's like, "Yeah, no, that's fine too." And I just like, again, like not a huge deal paid to it, but like, yeah, these are all just like drunken oafs, and like this is the system that's supposed to protect us. I don't know, just these again, these like little digs at all the failing systems around us.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like the kind of small town thing of also, it's a cop getting drunk while still on duty.
Yeah.
Hammered, like next to a drunk guy that he knows is going to drive home. Like,
yeah.
I didn't grow up in a small enough town to like know this, but I've talked to people that do. And like, that's just the way that it works. And it's, yeah.
They blow up the pipeline. They cover their tracks. Certain people go off one way, but Theo and Sochi stay behind. And we learned that was sort of part of the plan because we'll get some. Sochi doesn't care. Sochi's pretty nihilistic at a certain point. Although there's like wants to make a difference, but it's still kind of nihilistic. But it's also like Theo is dying of cancer. We can get some sympathy that way. They probably won't press the terrorism charges, all this stuff. But the movie ends with like the credits start rolling, but then you kind of see what happens to these different people.
Yeah,
and how like Sean is kind of like looking over his shoulder all the time now, and Michael, whatever relationship he has with his mother that was already strained, is really not good.
Wait, let's but you said Sean and Michael. Keep that in your brain because I'm not going to remember it. I want to talk about Michael for a second. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I liked about this movie, and I said that something was telegraphed earlier. I thought this movie was telegraphing Michael is going to be on top of the bomb when it goes off.
Yeah, that there's going to be that he's a loose cannon or something.
He's super depressed. He's like laying in a hole. I just felt like he's going to set it off while he's on top of it. It's just he's done with life. His last action is to die with this. And the fact that he took himself to like a safe distance and like it's established he gets to continue his life, I thought it goes against the trend of the movie, which I find interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because it totally was like setting him up like, oh, this guy's going to be trouble. Like, so all they're different things. And like I said, Sochi's in jail and whatever. But then you just see these people in black, like setting up to blow up a yacht. And then they put up a sign that says, "Here's why I sabotage your property," which is what the movie opens with Sochi doing that, just popping someone's tires and with this like little manifesto they put on that. And that it's not like, because part of the reason they wanted to blow up the pipeline is they wanted it to, that would like have to do with it would affect the market because how we would get our oil and price would go up, that people wouldn't be able to afford it. And they have a whole conversation because Alicia has a whole conversation with Sochi towards the end. It's in a flashback, but it's towards the end of the movie about like why do you get to decide that? Because this is going to hurt a lot of people. So like I can't go work my job to get money for my kid, because I'm poor. Like how do you? And she's like, collateral damage happens, and it's like, well, yeah, but why do you get to decide? And I don't think the movie shies away from those conversations, which is good. Which is why I say it doesn't just proselytize that like, and then everything's going to be perfect. That's a legitimate concern. That it doesn't like that. It's not necessarily that what happened is like, well, then we all rose up as one. They changed everything. It's that like, well, maybe it inspired some other people. Or maybe it inspired people to, take action in their own ways, whatever that means. That this one action didn't like change the world, but it did what they wanted it to do to a degree.
Yeah, it starts the conversation, which is all you can do. When the idea is, all we can make is tiny, small changes over the course of maybe in the next 50 years, things will whatever, and you're like, no, we're going to be dead in 7. At least the conversation starts. Like at least you've done the thing. You're not screaming into the void. You're screaming into people that are listening. They're probably not going to hear you. They won't care, but at least you did the thing.
Well, and I don't want to paraphrase Malm because I didn't. I haven't outread his book, but he talks about like sabotage, this kind of stuff being an option, and like you look at the history of, and they talk about it a little bit in the movie, but like stuff like the civil rights era and stuff like that wasn't just Martin Luther King went, hey, you know what? This kind of sucks. I'm going to give a speech about it. And everyone went, hey, that's true what that guy said. Like there was so much other stuff happening, like riots and all this stuff, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We just talk about the stuff that we can handle. And they, again, like specifically talk about this in the movie. And because I'm trying to say this where I'm not like on my promoting violence, but it's a thing where like the non-violence works if violence happens. Because if the non-violence works, then the implicit threat of violence is there.
That's what I was saying with the union thing is unions worked because you understood that the other option was we're going to burn your fucking mansion down. That you shouldn't make 19,000% more than us. We just need a living wage like that. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no,
Nonviolence works because you understand that, motherfucker, we're about to get violent.
Yeah, no. So it's a movie that made me think about all these things, and whatever side you come down on them. I think it's a movie that you're not necessarily expecting that for a thriller, but I mean, it is called How to Blow Up a Pipeline. But and I think that's a very successful thing. It was an exciting thriller, but it made you think.
Yeah, I enjoyed it greatly. There's my big review. One of my favorite style of movie, and it's not like you can plan this because it would be making a movie for me, but I like when I think I don't like the movie, and then like kind of like, I don't know, at that 35-40% mark, you're like, wait, no, do I like the movie? And then you're like, no, I do like this movie. Like, I get it. Like you did I think this movie might actually do well in a rewatch. I'm not gonna, but I think there's enough here that like, on a second watch might be a, an interesting experiment.
Yeah. I mean, it's an hour 40 and it moves real nice.
Yeah. The hour 40 is also nice. Cause I mean, not that I want this movie to go too quickly, but I am real goddamn tired of long movies at this point. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying everything needs to be an hour and a half, hour 40, but I'm tired of 220. I'm so tired of it. I
think the problem is it's not necessarily the lengths. It's just like how they make that time. It's just that it's not an interesting for that amount of time. Because there are plenty of movies that are super long that
I've not seen it yet, but the new Marvel movie is The Marvels, which I enjoyed the Miss Marvel TV show. But anyway, it's like short. I mean, it's not an hour 30, but like maybe it's 2 hours, but like it's for Marvel movies, it's like a solid 40 minutes to 68 minutes shorter than the normal thing, which makes like I'm like, oh, I didn't care about this movie, but maybe I'm gonna watch it now.
My favorite part was in the trailer how the one character says, "Your power is manipulating light. I can see it," and her power is seeing light. That's a cool power.
Her power, but this is you proving how much of a dumb fuck you are directly. Is that, John, you understand you don't see all of light, right?
Uh-huh.
Can you see the infrared spectrum right now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So my apologies. Yeah. No, you're a stable genius. My bad. But Monica Rambeau understands that she can see all of the spectrum of light. I didn't see the teaser, and that sounds fucking awful. That is the dumbest slip.
I don't know this character, I don't know whatever, but just like that, when that happened in the trailer, I was like looking around the theater, like, did anyone else hear this?
No,
am I insane?
That sounds absolutely terrible.
Like,
I get what they were going for, but boy, you could have worded that better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, somewhere between you should definitely watch it and. Yeah, probably watch it.
I say definitely watch it. It's like I said, it's a great like thriller heist movie with a message.
Which would you like to recommend to the audience?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh, I will tell you what I recommend.
Yeah, why don't you start?
I've done these before, but this is a very specific recommendation. If you have an Audible Plus account, which a lot of people do, there's a bunch of Agatha Christie mysteries that are available there, and they're read by Richard Armitage, who. That name sounded familiar to me. Mm-hmm. And I realized it's the guy that plays Simon Belmont in the new Castlevania shows on Netflix, which are exponentially better than they have any right to be, being a show based on a Castlevania property, when they came out in like 1986. But he has a really great voice, and they're really good. The ones I've listened to, I've found like 2 or 3 that are like non-Poirot, still kind of mystery stuff. But so anyway, if you're a Audible Plus member, they're completely free. Just go to your Plus settings, look for Agatha Christie, and there's a bunch of really good Richard Armitage. The one downside is he gives little intros to them, and they are the most uninteresting fucking things you've ever heard in your life. Like, he sounds like he's 27 and has never done anything other than act. We're like, I remember this one time I was at a party, and then Dame Judi Dench walked in. I mean, I'm making this up, but it's like this, like, oh, that is ragingly uninteresting as an intro, but I guess Audible went like, hey, give a life story. It's like, whatever, man, cool, whatever, yeah.
Look, man, I'm a podcaster and I don't want to hear this. Yeah. For me, I've been watching, after all the big horror watching, I've been trying to get away from that, take a break, watching some other stuff. I checked out The Glass Key which is the 1942 Stuart Heisler movie, which is a lot of what Miller's Crossing is based on. Like it's sort of it's not a remake, but there's a lot of plot elements that are very, very, very
I've never
similar.
even heard of that one.
I mean, it's not specifically a remake, but it's about a political boss and his right-hand man and stuff like that. But they definitely change a lot. And that was, I enjoyed that. It was fun. Some of it was like pointing and recognizing things from Miller's Crossing that like, oh, that's where, okay, so I see how they did that in that. But they're still pretty decent. And then I watched Hype Williams' Belly. It's not a good movie.
Hype Williams' Belly?
Yeah, the movie's called Belly by Hype Williams.
Who the fuck is Hype Williams?
Hype Williams was like the music video, like the rap R&B music video director of the night.
Oh, okay, yeah, his name very much leads that way, but I've never heard it before.
Yeah. Big, like, you know, guys like leaning up against fisheye lenses. That was a big Hype Williams thing. But it's like the first 10 minutes are amazing. Like super solid. And apparently like the opening scene, they like blew half their budget on, and it looks really cool. Oh, it's like, it stars like DMX and Nas, but yeah, the plot doesn't really make a lot of sense and whatever, but it was neat to look at. There you go. Oh, and I saw Frankenhooker. So there's that.
Well, it's a rarity that I get to say this, but Alex, well done recommending things you say the audience shouldn't watch. It's finally I get to be in the position of like of the. Oh, all right, yeah. You're basically saying don't watch it.
I'm just saying it's not a good movie, but I'm saying to go check out that.
No, it's fine. I know
it's really great.
I always feel weird where it's like my recommendations are I did this thing and I'm kind of lukewarm on it and probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't watched a whole lot of stuff, but this one, yeah. Oh, and the story of Ricky O, that is currently on the Criterion Channel.
Is that
if you're familiar with that
Mr. Show one? Is that what I'm thinking of?
No, the story of Ricky O is most people know it from like the old school. Well, I don't say most people. I initially knew it the old school Daily Show with Craig Kilborn when he would do the 5 questions. There was a clip of a guy smushing another guy's head. That's from Ricky O.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's hyper violent. It's ridiculous. It's very, very silly.
What am I thinking of? The failed Mr. Show movie.
Run, Ronnie, Run.
Run, Ronnie, Run. Yeah, that's not even close. Okay. Yeah. Hey, John.
Hey, yeah.
I think all of this discussion about the world kind of spinning out of control and fossil fuels killing us, and all we have left is to try to, as I said, to vote with a bullet or explode oil pipelines. We should probably move on to something a little like more upbeat, like a nice kind of fun 1940s. Hey, everybody talks in a mid-Atlantic accent kind of romp.
Okay.
Yeah,
that sounds fun.
Yeah. I misclicked. So next episode, we're watching Melancholia by Lars von Trier.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Which audience at home might know is horrifically depressing, and I don't know why I like this idea.
Woo!
Woo! But,
yeah, if you thought this was a good time.
Here's the positive. Kirsten Dunst, Kristen, how do you say her name? Kirsten Dunst, titties for days in this movie.
Great.
So, hey, everything's perfect. Everything's coming up Lars von Trier house.
Yeah, I gotta see boobs. Hooray.
Exactly. All right. Well, we will see you in a short fortnight. Good evening.
Good night.